Hey guys, just coming back to do another video. This time I will be talking about another one of my vintage format collections. This time we'll be talking about two separate smaller collections I've got, which is the Video 8, or what they'll call Video 8mm, which also was a high 8 format. It's analog, it's not the same as the digital 8mm that came out later. And then also my Beta or Betamax. Both of these collections are fairly small. Over the years I've lost a lot of things. When I went off to college, a lot of my stuff got misplaced or possibly thrown in the trash, or even ended up in a garage sale, I'm not for sure, but I did not have a working Beta player or an 8mm player during that time, so I was unable to take it with me. Now let's talk about the camera angle here. I know it's a little weird, it's not what you're used to. I want to get a little better quality, so I am using my flip again. But because of the size of this room and everything, flip just doesn't give me the same angle as my camera. But that's okay. What I'm going to be able to do is show a small format compared to Laserdisc. So if I can get it up here a little bit closer, like you can see my hand here and it'll be in focus, you'll be able to see these tapes a lot better. Something like Laserdisc that I did last time was pretty large. It was easy to show, but this time I'm going to need the better quality. Okay, what I'm going to show you first would be my 8mm player, Video 8 VTR. VCR, I guess, was a copyrighted name that was used for VHS, so they often refer to these as VTR, or videotape recorder. This here is one that I got from a fellow YouTuber, Jake Lyons World. He sent me this one. As far as I know, I don't think this one plays, but I was just going to go ahead and show it that it's almost identical to mine. That one is just a regular Video 8. This one is a Video High 8, or Hi-Fi Stereo High 8. And it's just a little bit of an off gray color, kind of a graphite color, compared to the other one that's kind of a black. But I was just going to show you how small this is. This is just a generic tape I've got here, which is very small, if I can see it by the size of my hand. A little bit thinner than VHS-C, if you remember VHS-C. And then it just went in just like a VCR. And I don't have this plugged in, so I won't go ahead and push it in there, but it worked just the same. These players are pretty small. I always liked that. In fact, back in the 90s when I used to travel, back before the days of iPods and all the things that you can have in your hands, I used to take that player and hook it up to random TVs when I was on vacation so that I could watch the movies I wanted. So it was the first kind of travel analog player that I had. You always had to have access to a TV, but you didn't have to bring along a big chunky VCR. First thing I'll show here are some of my 8mm tapes. When I talk about these as Video 8, some of these will be High 8, but I'll just call them Video 8. But I'll show you the things here that I've got licensed, and what I mean by licensed, that they're officially released, and then I'll show you some things that I recorded, if that's interesting for you or whatever. Here is Lethal Weapon. Hopefully you're getting a good focus on that. And when you get these, they actually come in a little clear tape holder also, and then it would just say 8mm video at the top. So that's Lethal Weapon. I always liked it because it had a slip cover, but it also had some true dust protection on the inside. This is one that I've shown before because I just really like this movie. And back during the day, this was kind of a hard to find movie, back in the days when you had to go hunt, before the internet. But this is the Emerald Forest. And of course, same kind of stuff on the inside of all these. One of my all-time favorite movies that I used to have recorded on VHS and watch a lot was Teen Wolf. This one has a red label. Some of these companies use a lot of these red slipcovers, and they have the red tape also. You'll see that again here on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Another classic. It's kind of a horror classic that I picked up at a place that was used. I think somebody had returned it. Maybe they'd used it as, a sample thing for their player, but I used to buy a lot of these at a video store, and I don't mean like Blockbuster, something like that. I mean a place that sold video equipment and developed film. It was more of a camera electronics place, and they used to be about the only place I could find these in. But they had this in kind of like a cell rack, and I assume that maybe since it wasn't sealed, they used it as a sample tape. A lot of those I got that way, or I got them super cheap when they quit the format. Last one I've got here is Popcorn. This is one of my favorite movies back in the day. This is probably one of the favorite ones as far as my friends and I used to get together, and we used to rent this a lot before I found it on Video 8, and we used to rip on it. We used to think it was hilarious to make fun of that movie because it's just kind of weird that that movie takes itself very seriously, but at the same time it's kind of a bad movie. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. Now I'm going to show just some random blank tapes I've got, just to give you an idea of some of the things I was into back in these days and why I enjoyed this format as much as I did. Is a lot of times I had things taped. Most of these tapes have a limit of 2 hours, so of course I had Braveheart Part 1 and Part 2. Hopefully you can see that there. But I taped these, and I used to take those. I remember taking that on vacation with my family, and we watched that one Christmas when we all went skiing. I have Clash of the Titans there on Video 8. A lot of the things I enjoyed around the mid-90s, because I got this player about 94, I think, 95, Empire Record. One I used to always enjoy. Batman Returns, which of course I've mentioned before is my favorite Batman movie out of the classic Tim Burton style movies. One of my other favorite childhood movies, Black Hole, the Disney movie. Got that in there. I didn't try very hard on these labels. Seven. I've got there. A lot of things that were big around 94, 95 you'll be seeing here. Leaving Las Vegas. Basketball Diaries. Love this. When I went off to college, I actually got to go to I guess it was like a public speech type thing. It was just like a convention hall, and Jim Carroll was there speaking. You know, he was touring between campuses, and so that was really cool to go see that. Jumanji. 16 Candles. I actually tried really hard and put individual letters on that one, which is kind of funny. But yeah, 16 Candles. Legend. It's a classic 80s movie. Madness of King George III. I really like this movie. If you've never seen The Madness of King George and you like historical type movies, it is a drama. It is a little bit slow, but to me it's very interesting. Okay, I've gone through that, and then I'm just going to mention a few things that I've found here that are really hilarious that I would probably like to look at some point. Besides having a stack of approximately 6 tapes, I have no idea what's on. More than likely stuff that I recorded with my camera. So who knows what could be on those. That's hilarious. Maybe one of these days I'll be able to do a Cynical 44 retro type video, kind of like Zara Nizrak does, and post some of those on here. I'll have to get my Video 8 player actually running again and make sure that it doesn't eat any of those tapes, but that could be interesting to show some of that. Here's a trip to Mexico that is actually marked when it was, and that's from almost 20 years ago, which is scary. And here's Christmas '93, which I'm pretty sure that's when I got my camera, and that's the reason why I definitely was using up lots of tapes at that time. Okay, for this next part I'll show my Betamax, and my Betamax player is gigantic. It wouldn't even hardly fit on the screen, and it weighs a ton. Things like that were just made out of a ton of metal back in the day, and I wouldn't even want to show you that because it's not anything special, and it's just very big and black and bulky, and it really doesn't work that well. It needs to be cleaned, and I have no idea how to do that because, you know, you can barely find people to even work on VCRs this day. Sorry for the shift here on the angle, but what I'm going to show here is my beta tapes, and I'll have to change this angle again after this, unfortunately, but I just want to go through these real quickly. I don't have very many. Unfortunately, this is all that has survived over the years. Here's the Beast. I remember this one didn't work too well, but it's kind of like a big box. If you're familiar with what big boxes are like, or the tray box on VHS, it's kind of like that, but it's not quite as big as the VHS, but it's a little wider. It's about actually the size of a Nintendo box, the old NES box. But the Beast Within and Last Starfighter. This one is a rental. A lot of mine were ex-rentals that I used to buy up from video stores that were basically axing all their beta collection. Last Starfighter. This is The Stuff, one of my favorite movies from the 80s, classic kind of cult 80s horror movie from this was a New World Video. This one here actually has mold damage. I can't even hardly get the cover off of it, but you can't hardly see it here, but it is warped. There's water damage to the thing, and unfortunately that didn't work, but I kept it because how cool it is. Cloak and Dagger. This one I believe was ex-rental also, yeah. It's a good classic 80s film. I really like that. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This one looks like it may have water damage also. I'm not for sure. This one, I don't know. I basically can't even get the cover off that one, so I have no idea what's going on with that. But Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, you can see how long it's been since I've even watched any of these. Then Wildcats. This one, the sticker kind of fell off when I was getting it, so I'll try to hold it there, but this was loose, that sticker. But I believe this was an ex-rental also, Wildcats. Good 80s classic also. These next two were gifts from Jake Lyons' World, and then I think one of them was actually from Owen en route from Jake, so it's kind of technically just from Jake and Owen. Here's Psycho, but it's original Psycho. This one's got kind of a rough sleeve, but still really cool. Great movie, I'm glad to have it on beta. And then also another cool one, it's a cut box, but it's got a cool little case. And that's the original Nightmare on Elm Street by Media. This one's got a really cool silver label from the old Media style. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. I love that cover art. Basically, that's all that survived of my beta. I do remember vaguely having Empire Strikes Back, and I think I had the first Back to the Future. I'm not really for sure what else, but I had a few other things like that that just haven't made it. So, unfortunately, that's all I can show you of my beta. I don't even actually have any blank tapes left. I actually found this was a white case, and it's empty. So, this is my entire beta collection. As far as I know, if I do happen to find any more, I'll let you know. But this is all I got left on beta that I can find. Alrighty, I gotta do another shift here, and then I'm gonna get some of this stuff out of the way. I'd like to say that there was more, but that's all that survived the great 90s purge of my analog stuff on beta and Video 8. If I find anything later, I'll just go ahead and put it in an update, just like new stuff, and I'll just let you guys know. I hope you guys found this a little bit entertaining, maybe informative, I don't know. This was by request, and I'll put the person that requested, they requested the beta, and you will see that here. And I appreciate it. I'm glad people are interacting with me in these videos, and it gives me a little incentive to get out there and show some things that I'm kind of excited to show that I'm just not for sure if people really want to see or not. The next one I'll try to show is probably my VHS. Not for sure if that'll be the video right after this, but if I do show my VHS, that'll probably have to be broken down in parts. VHS is probably the biggest collection I've got outside of DVD and Blu-ray. Alrighty, well, I will leave you guys at that, and I will see you again next time.